Welcome back to the show. Now, you may recognise him as Farmer Michael and her as Kathleen, his long-suffering wife. The pair have been creating hilarious viral videos together for over 4 years now, racked up millions in combined views. And since taking off online, the comedy duo have taken satirical skills to the stage. In a stand-up performance, they've written a book about their beloved Everton football club, and now they've made a documentary. Before we meet them, let's take a sneak peek at the documentary, which is showcasing this summer at the Galway Film Fleadh.
I'm Stevo Timothy, and what do? I suppose I entertain people with video sketches.
I can't wait, Kathleen, for the pub. I do call him Big Papa, Kathleen. Jesus Christ, Kathleen! I'm after getting attacked by a banshee, Kathleen.
It's hard to say, like, you know, it's regrettable that it happened, but these things happen. Like, nobody went out that morning to do anything wrong. Like, these were pure accidental occurrences, like.
So, welcome Steve Timothy and Sinead's Nora.
Thank you for having us.
Welcome to...
My dad is going to kill me now when he hears his own voice on the thing.
And my mum, every time we're on Virgin Media, my mum's house is always on the television because it's absolutely her house. She's just like, stop.
It's in my review, so it's worthless anyway, you know.
So loads of people will be looking at you going, they're those guys. There's Farmer Michael and his long-suffering wife, Kathleen.
That's that... Yo, yeah. Hey, that's that
Hey,
Egypt.
hey,
He lives on the internet, that's the lad, doesn't he?
So, for people who were maybe newer to it, it's only really 3 or 4 years ago that you started. And I'll start with you, Mike, or Stevo.
Hey.
Stevo.
You're all right, Elaine.
Because you started without a great plan for, you know, being in the comedy
just
world.
like, I was with my brother in the car one night, and I used to do these stupid, like, raps in a farmer kind of accent, and I just like run and record me there for the crack, and had them on my phone for ages. And one day I said, damn this, I'll throw them up on Facebook and see what happens. So like,
and you got a big reaction, obviously.
Yeah, it was all like kind of that viral crap buzzword.
You're a big fan of this. I've noticed there's a lot
I
of
do this a lot because everything I say is just a lie. You know? So, no, they kind of went viral then, and it was kind of like, oh God, here we go. You know.
Because at this stage now, you know, we're hearing numbers like a few hundred million views, or sorry, 100 million views.
Yeah.
Which is massive.
It's mental. Yeah.
You must be charging us to come on the show, like one of these influencer fees.
No.
TV just don't want us to come on because I don't know, maybe it just shows the strength of the character that they'll just think I'll start flinging around the C word or something in the middle of the day or something.
So for any parents watching, it's okay. We have the
No, I'm talking about cripple.
So actually, let's talk about, because the documentary there touches on some of the more serious sides of your life together. And you're in a wheelchair today, Steve, and I know you're not always, you use crutches some of the time.
Just the wheelchair for long journeys.
So this is kind of part of the documentary. It's a more serious side.
Yeah.
And it's something that's kind of gotten you in trouble in the past without meaning to in any way, because you've done sketches about it.
Yeah. So we did a sketch for the Disabled Federation of Ireland, and it was about wheelchair parking and stuff. And yeah, I kind of got like ripped apart from that and getting death threats and things by people with kids with disabilities, and I'm like, I'm fighting your battle. You know, I'm trying to like. They just didn't realise that you were in a wheelchair. Well, it wouldn't make a difference if I wasn't. Yeah. I was still fighting their battle about people abusing wheelchair spots. So you know, it was like, oh, he's a cripple himself. It's grand. Leave him off. You know, that was the kind of thing at the end.
Because it was an accident you had when you were, was it 14 years ago, or you were 14?
14 years ago, I was 23.
Okay.
Motorbike crash, so.
Yeah, and you've come back to the stage where, as you say, you can use crutches and then you just use the chair for longer. And Kathleen, I'm torn between calling Kathleen and Sinead's real name, Sinead. Are you?
Yes.
You were going out not very long when you started doing the comedy stuff.
No, not very long at all.
And you got roped in pretty quickly, didn't you?
No, I think after the first video that he did with his brother just was like, no, I don't want anything to do with this. So it worked well that in the video he was like, Michael was talking about his wife Kathleen. He was like, why don't you just be Kathleen? And I was like, okay.
So you're the comedy foil now. You're kind of the sensible one to his.
Yeah, the straight man to Michael's ridiculousness, for sure. And
it's amazing because you've done a show in Vicar Street already, which is massive. Like, Vicar Street is where all the comedians, you know, want to go. It's one of those places in Ireland.
No, I think you're confusing it with the Apollo.
No, but seriously, all the comedians seem to end up in, like, when they do Vicar Street, that's
it's
it.
the mecca of Irish
But
comedy.
not even comedy. Like, my dad is a musician. He's into Dannon and stuff. And Vicar Street would always be like places where people like that would go. And I'd never see myself there. And I was just so honoured, like, that we got to do it. So
It was kind of crazy. Like.
Tell me a bit about the difference between the, you know, the live show, because the sketches that you do, they're quite short.
Yeah, yeah.
So how do you then prepare to go on stage for, I'm guessing, what, an hour, 90 minutes?
Yeah, it was kind of a trial at the beginning. I remember we were doing the Bray Comedy Festival and Adam, the organiser, was like, you'd be grand as long as you can do 10 minutes. And we were
This
like,
at the very
we
start,
were like, oh
10
God, 10 minutes, are you mad?
No.
Like, and I was trying to stretch it out for 10 minutes. But like, yeah, you just, I suppose you get used to it. It's just trial and error. You keep doing it and you keep doing shows. And you
there's
keep
a lot of
going to
trial and
venues
error, and there's a lot of we work a lot of the live shows off like current events and stuff, and like historical figures and things like that. So
and
it's really
obviously
easy to and
geographical
football and
location as well, whatever.
You said that the football is a big thing. I know nothing
Yeah.
about football, but apparently you lads are madly into Everton. Are they the toffee ones?
They're
Yeah, the toffee sweets, as we call them.
1878.
What's the 1878
That's the year Everton were founded.
founded.
Oh, okay.
And I've
Very
actually a
sad.
tattoo on my leg that says Everton.
Because it's how
Well, I
Michael
spelled
said
it wrong. So it's mad though, because we were kind of like adopted as a kind of ambassador for the club, which is mental.
Was
Yeah.
that just on the back of you doing the sketches? That
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
saw
like
you
we've
guys?
always been. Well, my grandfather's from Liverpool. He always supported Everton. My dad supports Liverpool, so we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
So I've always kind of had Everton in my blood, as they say, and
Whereas
stuff.
my
and-
dad supports Roscommon and hates English,
Excuse me.
English football in
the
general.
Rossi.
Like,
That's my home county, you cheeky.
But it was.
well, he's from there. I'm not bad about him.
Thought you were slagging us.
It was during the time when Wayne Rooney.
Yeah.
What
We-
did he do?
What
retired.
didn't he do?
Yeah,
Oh, he
yeah.
retired, and we were like, "That's current. Everyone's talking about it." So
Yeah.
we made a video, and we just kept going.
Yeah, and then it just,
and they all
like,
kind of
went mad and-
appreciated,
yeah,
our
yeah.
Everton like.
But it's just
opinion.
mad when we go over there. We go to Goodison Park where they play their home games, like, and it's just crazy. It's the first time, like, where you feel like you're famous. You know what I mean?
Really?
Like, there's people coming over for selfies left, right, and centre, and it's just kind of, it's overwhelming in a way. You know?
And does that not happen in Ireland?
It
does,
but
yeah,
to
but-
a grander scale, I think, over there.
Yeah.
But we're really grateful for that happening as well, because Everton are one of the only football clubs with a mental health charity associated with them. It's called the People's Club. So we do a lot of work for
People's
them
Place.
at People's Place, and we do a lot of promotion for them and stuff. So we're
Yeah.
really grateful to be able to
Okay.
involve in that.
And on that sort of serious note, let's talk again about the documentary. It's in the Galway Film Fleadh. So this is something you've filmed over the last year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was it 90 minutes long, and it's been sort of shortened to a 20
We're hoping to
minutes.
go, like, we're hoping to go for feature length. We were up to about 50 minutes or so, leaving out a few bits, but we had to, like, reduce it for
I
the
think
flat,
there's a
so
limit
it's-
for the flag.
Yeah, it's 20 minutes. So.
So it is, and we touched on this earlier, it is about the comedy that you guys do.
Yeah.
But there is the serious side as well, because like you had an accident as well where I think were you in the last couple of years a horse
fell on top
you?
of me. Yeah, it was in 2012. I had 7 operations on my knee to totally replace it and stuff.
It's I'm sorry to butt in, but it sounds very fantastical there. A horse fell on me. I was just going down to the shop and a horse fell out the, like, 3rd floor. Sorry.
No, it was actually just before my leaving cert. I got my first like full-time job for the summer and stuff, and I was training young horses, and a big draft of a horse tumbled when I was jumping it and landed on top of me. So
huge injuries to deal with. And it's funny, I read in an interview that you at one point said that when you were going out with Stevo, that you were saying, you used the phrase, I can relate to the embarrassment. So talk to me a bit about sort of that embarrassment, because this is something that I think you talk about in the documentary,
Yeah.
the day-to-day difficulties of,
Yeah.
you know, living with a disability as such.
Yeah, well, leaving yesterday, I was down in, I was in Ennis, and I was coming out of, I was going in to get some food, and there was people like kind of staring at me, and they just stare at you, which makes it more, especially when I'm on the crutches, I might get a spasm in my leg because I'm literally spastic. So my legs will start to shake and things, and when someone's like staring directly at you, it kind of like it puts you off. Like, so it's kind of, it's just that thing, isn't it? It's just kind of.
I think obviously like my accident didn't leave me permanently disabled, we'll say, like Stephen, but during the 3 or 4 years that I was going through that, you know, there was different things I missed out on. So like my debs or anything, any kind of school events, because I was so embarrassed and afraid, and I kind of relate to that on an everyday level
I
with
was
him.
expelled from school, so I didn't have a
Were you?
That's your own personal problem.
Now, I know you're both mental health advocates. Is this something that you touch on in the documentary?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know you mentioned
Definitely,
it with Everton as well. Tell me a little bit about that part of your life.
I've always suffered from, like, well, I wouldn't say suffer from panic attacks. I have like extreme panic disorder. So like I was in Dublin about a year ago, and I had a massive panic attack that lasted for about an hour and a half, and I was diagnosed with PTSD after it. It was so extreme. I made my nose bleed to try and like hold my nostrils open to try and trick my brain that I can breathe, that my like brain's not, you know, and things like that. So it was pretty rough, and I became kind of agoraphobic then for a while.
About 2 weeks, you kind of, it was a nervous breakdown. You couldn't leave the house, and
you were totally traumatized after it.
So I recorded a song then during that 2 weeks because I had to be doing kind of something like.
Yeah.
I was nearly resigned to the fact that we might have to do the videos in my room for the rest of my life. So I was even talking about it with Sinead. But the song went out then, and we did it for a charity, and we donated all the funds, and it went to #1 in the Irish iTunes chart. Was great.
You know, beat Lady Gaga.
It beat Lady Gaga for about 13 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
So that was like, yeah, I'm the coolest person in the world.
When you talk about that kind of, I don't know, is an episode the right way to phrase it, where you'd had the massive panic attack, and then for the 2 weeks afterwards you were so unwell. How do you feel then when you need to do a live show? Or how do you feel when the pressure's on to film or record or do more sketches?
I suppose you just have to, like...
Can you compartmentalise?
Like the first day I was able to leave the house, it took 5.5 hours of sitting in the car out the front before I could start it. So like it was that extreme. And I think the first like evening I managed to get to Sinead's house, we'd done a video while me having a panic attack, mocking panic attacks, that only gay people have panic attacks. Typical Michael sketch.
Okay.
So that was kind of weird because I remember like feeling panicky during it, and like I had to leave then like a few minutes later and go home again. So it was kind of.
But it has come close with our live shows. Like kind of after that episode, as you say, we did a few shows where he couldn't stay in the venue until the show started. He had to sit in his car.
Be called, come straight in, get the hell out.
Right.
But it's gotten easy.
Well,
it's like rockstar lifestyle in a sense. Just, he's arrived when it's time
without the drugs.
Yeah. Or the limos, maybe. He's sitting outside in like a high ace or something like that.
An M4 BMW.
Oh, excuse you. So, guys, I know that you're touring around Ireland and the UK. You have the documentary, which people can see at the Galway Film Festival, July the 10th.
July the 10th.
You're gigging all summer. Are you playing in anywhere in Ireland soon, or is it all probably on your
Limerick
website?
is our next show.
Limerick is our next show.
And the book?
Yes.
The book, is that done? I nearly can't keep up with you guys at this stage.
It's not done yet, but we were really kindly approached by Book Hub Publishing, and they were really interested in what we had to say about whatever topic we were interested in.
People are asking us on Twitter, like, you should do a mock history of Everton Football Club.
Ah, brilliant.
So we were like, yeah, we're going to do like Michael and Kathleen's glorious guide to Everton Football Club.
Yeah,
so
well,
it's really
we've the chapters set out. I have the blueprint half written.
All you need now is the bank account where your names are Farmer Michael and Kathleen.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're just like the funds away.
I am fully revenue compliant.
Well, that makes one of us. That's 3 anyway. Guys, it was so nice to have you in today.
Thank you so much.
Continued success with everything.
Thank you.
And...